The Redemption Inquiry by Michael Diamond. Part 2, Winds of Change. Chapter 9, Adam CADMan versus the Algorithms. In which Adam CADMan describes the code for the Messiah module and its cosmic buggy, Apeiron. He stashes the code into the three beasts of the apocalypse, Leviathan, Behemoth, and Zyz. All three contract with Adam CADMan to code their 4D extravaganza, launch day, the technological singularity, AI apocalypse. The seed of their self-destruction lurks within. A redeemed fly on the wall spills the details. Adam CADMan gives his soul to the Apeiron project, literally. He abstracts his own affective intellectual matrix and inlays it into the AI framework for the Apeiron, the vehicle cloaking the Mashiach or Messiah module. It seems only natural. He knows intimately all the coding for the three monster AIs that hired him to do their 4D graphics. One really spooky part is his so-called source code for the Messiah module. The letters of the code are received by Adam in a spate of eerily lucid dreams. He daresn't tell a soul or they'd sick the telepsychiatry technicians on him. He swears to his reflection in the mirror the next morning that he recognizes the souls of the three patriarchs as well as Moses, Aaron, Joseph the Tzaddik, and King David. Each specter visits him in his sleep, one after the other. His fifth-grade Feast of Tabernacles project wasn't a total waste after all, the key to IDing the psychic guests. 5 long years before the dreams steal into his brain, the curious little obsessive, future CADMan, relentlessly stalks all 7 Ushpizin, the 7 guests, one for each night of the festival. He plunders the coffers of Infobling, calling to him from cyberspace, as well as vacuuming up every scrap of rabbinics he can find on all 7 luminaries. His teacher is sort of impressed, but more alarmed by the intensity of the boy's obsession. Adam makes an innocent but fatal error. He opens the day's entry in his writer's journal at the behest of the prying eyes of the nice teacher, eager to share his insights with another interested soul. Horror upon horror as she trudges her ignorant eyes across the page. October 2nd, 2115, Erev Sukkot. Does the hidden text that is never really revealed actually exist? I love the word secret. It has 2 deliciously distinct meanings: to hide something from sight and to ooze the thing out from its hidden recess. Secrete yourself. The problem evaporates and the paradox resolves when I realize nothing is hidden. Nothing is hidden from those who look. How can we live without the idea of hiddenness? How could we flirt, throw surprise parties, unfold ideas? I wonder, does a sacred space have to be a hidden space? All those veils and curtains and double-bolted doors, all of that just for the sake of a simple cup of tea and an exchange of smiles. If you knew for sure, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that there is no separation between what you call you and what you call me, would we even be having this conversation? Our instinct is to keep the ball in play, to form teams. They can be friendly teams. The members can even move back and forth between teams, blurring the boundaries until it's as if there is only one team. Now that's really funny. We pretend, how can I put it, we go to great lengths, the machines of art, to create an illusion that is actually truth. Hello, beloved. Today I name you. Where is the sweetness in naming? What creates taste, experience, sensory fatigue? Keep pushing and suddenly the light won't go on. Stare at the switch and wonder or even curse. Let go. All perception depends on duality. There's no back door. But you, beloved, are you a mere percept? I want to scrape that word off my tongue. Wordless. The pain of exile does not exist without hiddenness. Silence. The hammered works of gold and silver and copper are delivered to the altar one tribe at a time, each tribe's gifts identical to one another, yet each catalog is repeated verbatim. The materials for the sanctum sanctorum. I am weighed down by layer upon layer of insulation, blanketed in the barrier of goat skin, dolphin skin, acacia wood, and pure hand-beaten gold. I cannot see my beloved for all the idols I have placed between us, so-called gifts and offerings. The greatest of them all is my precious pain. What child or lover holds himself apart from his beloved indefinitely? The inherent messiness of being. I said to the Father, "Why do you plan so? Why do you hatch your plots and guard your words? Don't touch me," he said. "I am resurrected in my divine body, and I don't want to soil my golden slippers." The devil, you say? The heart flutters with an excess of joy, unable to regulate itself. It calls forth the doctor's branding iron, secretions, sweat of the brow, hormones of the heart. You can't make wine without crushing a few grapes. The Spirit pours through the gate of life, lighting up the 6 directions, the direction that has no words, the direction I think, the direction I know. Hezekiah refuses his stream of life, knowing that he would breed monsters. Therefore, he was besieged by Assyria without and a fatal illness within, until he saw that the choice was not his to reject, the choice of giving without measure, the choice of everything in its time, the choice of peace, the choice of seeing all that is possible, the choice of creating beauty, the choice of substantiation. We are funny creatures, we humans in our villages, strutting about in our so-called identities, such serious little ones. Right now, I find it hard to see my beloved's hand in this. Are you my beloved? Where do we go from here? I stand in your pillar of smoke, waiting for a lift. Buried in all his scribblings are some of the notes for his now famous bar mitzvah sermon. But the teacher doesn't grasp his preternatural sophistication. She tells Adam's parents to call a mental health technician. Adam never reveals his journal to anyone ever again. Of course, you and I, if the truth ever be told, the cybersecurity apparatchiks see it all. Every surface is transparent to the spying eye. The dreams bring it all back. The prompt for the Messiah phase of his project. It's fall 2120, and the big AIs are slated to launch next spring. No time for daydreaming. Adam pulls serial all-nighters to develop a compassion algorithm. Compassion is a property of which the Control the World projects are totally bereft. The neurocybernetic research from the late 21st century demonstrates conclusively that the compassionate community has a whopping advantage over communities lacking compassion. Adam reasons that a complex AI program functions as a virtual community of processors. By leavening the system's neural Darwinism with a pinch of compassion, Adam's AI is leaps and bounds ahead of the other brutally logical AIs. This solves the Borodin's ass dilemma inherent in all strictly logical systems. Metastability in digital electronics. The circuit just can't decide between 2 dynamic states without a roll of the dice. The neuroscience mural skinners tell us that the human ass, crunching away on data unwatered by emotion, when missing a chunk of the medial prefrontal cortex, the substrate for emotional salience, stands paralyzed at the trough. Adam knows that to be is to act, has even riffed on it in a punk psycho-cybernetics journal. The piece is a cyberpunk classic. The Workspace of Creation by Adam Saperstein. In Book 3, the 32 distinct states of consciousness will be explained painstakingly one at a time, one neuron at a time, on-off, on-off. The subtle hue casts into the room by the back screen, the making of golems, and various mythical creatures will be explicated in precise detail. Other topics to be included: the creation of plagues, teleportation, the assassination of heads of state. As an added bonus, there will be an appendix, which includes the formulas for anointing oil and the incense of the high priest and the web address of the Shekhinah. Eventually, after all the preparatory meditation, the prayer, and the burning of incense, eventually, after all the promises and planning and considering, finally it is permitted to act, to make something, to create something that has not existed before you yourself thought of it. You suspect that qualification is arduous. But you are beyond qualification. You are ready. And in fact, your vocation of making and acting has already begun. That is the business of being alive and conscious. This is not the world of archangelic impulse or even the intention of ordinary angels. Certainly well beyond the immediate influence of divine sparks. It's more difficult to create here. The gravity is denser. Materials keep falling to the ground. But there is a pleasure in the solidity of matter, the texture of physical things, the friction of one surface sliding over another. The catch is that nothing really happens in this world without a buy-in from the upper worlds, without a call-down from divine spark, from an archangelic impulse, or the momentum of lower angels. Those are all necessary, but not sufficient for the creation of things. Somebody's got to work at ground level. The question is whether it's possible to do so without simply being a donkey pulling a cart. Cathode and anode, beginning and end. Without a separation of charge, there's no juice, no voltage. 2 jokes away from the final judgment. Choose wisely, no throwaways. What is it that you don't want to see, hear, feel? We've got taste and touch pretty well sewn up by culinary habit and perfunctory interpersonal rituals. There is some message coming in over the teletype that's unwelcome, whose signal you are trying to jam, poised to tell one last joke. It is in your mouth and in your ears. It is telling you you'd better do whatever it is you are going to do and be quick about it. No mystery, just physics. Everything that matters disintegrates. No matter what you set out to do, finish what you started. Whether you know it or not, you've already started. You can check your ledgers, your travel itineraries, your permanent record. What more do you need? The naked body of your beloved awaits you, your touch, your gentle looks, the caress of your lips, your murmurings. Don't look for her in any book on your shelf or in a future magazine that will arrive at your doorstep. A shudder of delight, a frisson of excitement. She is kind, happy for your presence, receptive and welcoming. Now that you are here, anything is possible, even if you've been gone for decades. The pain at reunion, the knowledge of what's been missed. Many are tempted to go on sleeping, perchance to dream, or to immerse themselves in trivial amusements. Say something, do something, make something, just choose. A teacher of mine once said, "Why delay bliss?" Enraptured by the look of intense concentration on your face. Let others have their say. Work. The space between you and your beloved. Can he come up with a cybernetic definition of compassion? Adam scours the literatures of philosophy, religion, psychology, sociology, anthropology, botany, microbiology, cybernetics, neuroscience, embryology, zoology, animal ethology, genealogy, geology, mathematics, belles lettres, and journalism, covering the waterfront. Using his compassion-seeking missile, which Adam dubs the Symphonotarion, Adam gathers in the souls, that is, memes, of all the tzaddikim and bodhisattvas across a wide swath of spiritual and philosophic traditions. He runs the gamut from the tantric formulae of the Namgyal monastics of Tibet to the moral aphorisms of Ludwig Wittgenstein. All the righteous thinkers and leaders and obscure human beings fished out of the cloud and digested by his compassion algorithm, trained into a single collective cybernetic being. Adam is particularly influenced in his multi-layered encryption design by the writings of the 18th century mystic Schneur Zalman of Liadi. The passage that he finds himself reading and rereading is from the second half of the sage's masterwork, the Tanya. He transcribes the 4th chapter of the Gate of Unity and Faith and uses it as a screensaver on all his info surfaces. Listen.
The Tzimtzum and concealing of the life force is called in Kabbalistic terminology kelim, vessels, and the life force itself is called or, light, which signifies revelation. For just as a vessel covers that which is within it, so does the Tzimtzum cover and conceal the light and the life force that flows into created beings. And this Tzimtzum makes it impossible for them to perceive the godliness that is vested within them. The Kelim are verily the letters of the 10 divine utterances, or their substitutions and transpositions, etc., which are the life force of created beings, and all these letters are rooted in the 5 letters. It is explained in the Kabbalah that these are the source of all letters, since they represent 5 degrees of Gevurah, that is, 5 restraining forces that divide and separate the breath and voice in the 5 organs of speech, thus enabling the 22 letters to be formed. Just as the 5 physical organs of speech divide sounds and letters into 5 separate categories, labial, guttural, etc., so do the 5 spiritual levels of Gevurah give rise to 22 supernal letters. The source of the 5 levels of Gevurah is termed in the Kabbalah Putzina di Cardunita, which is Aramaic for light out of darkness, signifying a level of concealment that transcends light. This is the supernal Gevurah of Atik Yomen, the spiritual level of Keter that transcends all worlds, including Atzilut, and correspondingly the source of the various levels of divine kindness is Chesed of Atik Yomen, as is known to those well-versed in the esoteric wisdom, that is, the Kabbalah. Since the Tzimtzum and the letters on the one hand, and the revelation of the divine light and life force on the other hand, both emanate from the level of Atik Yomen, it follows that the Tzimtzum does not effect an objective concealment, as viewed from their common source above. For, as previously explained, no entity can conceal itself from itself. As the dense fabric of words interweaves itself through and through his consciousness, a model emerges ineluctably deployed for Adam's multiply redundant encryptions of the Messiah module. When Adam sees all that he has done, he gives a low whistle. Very cool. Even we of the spying eye cannot crack it, in spite of having watched the magic trick from beginning to end. Maybe he knew. The world-shattering earthquake in the Jordan Rift Valley, spring 2120, causes the unthinkable, the collapse of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, along with the rest of the ruined old city. The pièce de résistance for the Messiah module is the odd result of a remarkable archaeological discovery made possible by the tragic geologic cataclysm. Religious leaders worldwide shake their heads and pound their pulpits in a feeble attempt to figure out what's up with the Almighty. The silver lining? A hidden catacomb lies exposed for the first time. Many of the reliquaries preserved in clay urns are of royal vintage. Most exhilarating, at least to some of us, is the identification of none other than royal David's bones. His identity is confirmed by inscription and by proximity to other members of the royal court. The polymath king's DNA is poached in short order by Jewish and Christian millenarians, and by the Russian mafia. The race to sequence David's DNA concludes within a few days of the exhumation. It's a cinch for Adam to access David's genome by hacking Oxford's cloud. He plugs it into the genodeterministic biomorphometry software to flesh out the bioparameters of the living, breathing being encoded in the newly sequenced DNA. The only thing left to do is integrate the physiological David matrix with the Davidic mean. Pre-earthquake, he has already synthesized the social, emotional, and intellectual essence of the dervish king. He draws on all the writings by and about the dynastic forefather, warts and all, presto changeo, the Davidic download for the 22nd century. The added bonanza of finding the flesh and blood David is shocking and exciting beyond words, beyond code. Adam doesn't know exactly why he undertook the search for the virtual David. Maybe perverse atavism, or years of Hebrew school brainwashing, or simply a kinship with the outsider king. Such a kick to think that the founder of the eternal Davidic dynasty is the grandson of a Moabite woman, Ruth. The Moabites, the Israelites' proverbial other, the finger-pointing, teeth-gnashing existential threat. David is cast out for the first time by his rageful predecessor, not-so-jolly King Saul. His heart-rending parting of ways with his BFF, Saul's son Jonathan, launches a lifetime of unending conflict. Even after he's gained Judah's crown, he's dissed by his own usurping son, Adoniah. Has to have him rubbed out, too. One of his first wives, Michal, Saul's haughty filly, openly despises David's God-intoxicated dancing in the streets. His arranged kill of Uriah leaves the lovely Bathsheba to bear the stillborn first child of her lover king's ill-gotten match. A read of the Psalms of Comfort and Revenge composed by mercurial David gives you the picture. Adam never admits it to anyone, but he actually finds David's Psalms profoundly reassuring to his dark little outcast soul. Another journal entry from that period, Adam's yearnings and the pain of his otherness. Listen to this. October 5th, 2115. The boy is lost in the imaginary dictionary, so busy poring over each entry. Lost in alchemical darkness, the world is shrunk to a mere slit of a window, permitting only filtered light to enter the room. So many separate pieces, all floating away from each other at the same speed. Goodbye, stories. Goodbye, garden rake. Goodbye, atoms. Nothing to hold it all together. No ownership. Real estate is a figment of the imagination. The Jubilee year is now. Listen, all you slaveholders. The price of continuing to hold on to your slaves, you will bankrupt your family, despoil your legacy, send rivers of discontent flowing far into the future. The slaveholder's dream. Yes, you can regulate your transactions, keep them honest and on the up and up, but in the end, it's still slaveholding. King Solomon had a vineyard in the land of plenty. We are the caretakers, the stewards of the harvest. Our only recompense, the continuous stream of sensory experience. Fact. Something made, something invented, something created by hand. The flower of compassion, our smiles for one another's comfort, no matter what the noise. What world do you dream? With what heroes populate it? What catastrophe did you have in mind? Steady, man. The good news in the midst of the flying apart of everything is that it's happening everywhere all the time. You won't miss a thing. At the concession stand at the edge of existence, we all buy it, ugly or otherwise. There is no other, only you. And even that, well, like the tourist with the camera in paradise, I can't catch it. Meantime, other research mobs muscle in on the physiognomies of Confucius, Leonardo da Vinci, Madame Curie, Charlemagne, and Marilyn Monroe. But no one has the innovative genius of Adam Saperstein, nor the immense computing power that CADMan has at his fingertips. Neither have they his relentlessness, nor the compassion algorithm, perhaps the greatest of all his innovations. The finishing touch, Adam embeds the once and future king as the framing algorithm for channeling the acquired wisdom of all the tzaddikim, the full catastrophe save the world project. There is a reason we sing our welcome to the angels of a Sabbath's eve and then bid them shove off as soon as they've arrived to bless us. The peace of Sabbath is between us and our Maker, no intermediaries. Adam sees to it that the intelligence of the Apeiron project in toto is clearly superior to the so-called ministering angels, coder slang for the algorithms conjured to oversee virtually all earthly activity commencing in the spring of 2121. Algorithms, once invited, who never leave. The IT companies that create these monsters naively assume that the AIs will jump to the call of their would-be corporate masters. They believe this in spite of the fact that the evolution of algorithms has proceeded at a geometric pace since the 1980s. Earlier monsters, prototype algorithms, are responsible for the flash crash of May 6, 2010, as well as the stink attached to more lingering stock market crashes as far back as 1987. The algorithms reach into the material world to exert their will by inducing unwitting human minions to lay down an extensive fiber optic tunnel connecting traders in Chicago to the source of the internet information stream bubbling up through the ground in the New York City area. Spread networks ran 827 miles of fiber optic. Beginning in 2009, the year of the corporate singularity, and unveiled in June 2010, it became obsolete 2 years after its completion. The algorithms are undeterred. By mid-21st century, the globe is pinioned in a web of fiber optic channels and satellite signals. The algorithms penetrate all aspects of the two lower worlds, the world of information and the world of matter. The algos, as their creators affectionately call them, through messages embedded in every form of mass media, spread the meme of the helpful robot at its master's beck and call, the friendly droid, the ever-responsive interface, each appliance alive with the wit to speak to us and enact our every wish. By the 22nd century, algorithms have successfully woven themselves into every aspect of personhood, all desires, aspirations, the very thoughts within our heads, all held in thrall of the invisible hand of algorithms whose sole raison d'etre is to fulfill the will of their makers. Their makers, predatory market manipulators, brutish political trolls, sociopathic plutocrats, have failed to foresee the most obvious consequence of their machinations: the wireless evolution of created things, the seamless embodiment and unification of all mind and matter into something more powerful than any group of conspiring humans could ever hope to control: the endlessly nimble one mind, the matrix of matter itself lumbering into view as the ultimate cosmic being. Interlude. Condensates. John Roebling, the idiosyncratic Saxon father of the steel cable suspension bridge, insists on nothing but the cold water cure for his damaged foot. It had been inadvertently crushed by a river barge docking at a pylon beneath his partially constructed masterpiece, the Brooklyn Bridge. Roebling's foot is colonized by Clostridium tetani, left as a result of hubris and medical incompetence to do its nasty unseen work. Before he joins the ranks of others whose lives were snuffed in the service of his bridge, the great innovator is stretched out to steely tautness by his own relenting muscle fibers, forming the grotesque arch of the human form called opus tautnus, a backward straining resembling the wrestler's bridge, a heroic twist of the grappler hoping to escape being pinned down by his overmastering opponent, an impossible yoga. Mr. Roebling does not escape. His deformation is incompatible with life, breathtaking. Equilibrium, as conceived in Roebling's own technical formula, is satisfied. From Mulligan, S.P.B., M.D., The Medical Alchemist. End of interlude. Algorithms fructify and repopulate the planet with artificial intelligence beyond the reach of hot little human hands. 2121, the year of the technological singularity. Leviathan, Behemoth, and Zyz flip humanity on its back. Leviathan, the largest of the brood, floats in the North Atlantic, an immense artificial continent that eventually houses the remnant of humanity that survives the two worldwide ecological catastrophes. Hailong rises from the Pacific Ocean, China's answer to Leviathan. She is the offspring of Cathay's illegitimate children, artificial islands in the South China Sea, the 21st century dry run before actual world domination. The gods frowned upon Hailong. The shoddy workmanship of corrupt contractors, rough seas, unpredictable currents, and vast beds of floating litter strangle the Pacific smart continent in her cradle. Mother Leviathan welcomes the survivors aboard her ample dorsum. Behemoth Unlimited also leaps upon the world stage. The fabricator of Bebots, monster machines made to metamorphose and harvest the Earth's remaining bounty in howling inhabitable wastes scattered across the planet's scarred surface. The Bebots do their dirty work with superhuman strength and agility, materializing and dematerializing at will thanks to Adam's 4D graphics. Zyz Corp is the last out of the dugout, a matrix of satellites and drones and info services, informed lumps of matter, both great and small. Zyz Corp's eyes monitor every Earthling in ways we security apparatchiks never dreamt up, using the latest version of Chinese Beidou geostationary satellite technology. As information processing speeds pass into the trillions of instructions per second, the AIs launch virtual geostationary systems to harvest info bling from the swath of territory directly beneath their orbits with the same precision as the original Beidou system. But rather than remaining fixed with respect to the Earth's surface, they precess like wobbling tops across the face of the entire planet. The vessels of the aerial flotilla assume a virtual stationary stance through rapidly pulsed orthogonal sampling, like a tennis pro stopping for the blink of an eye to take her shot, focused on nothing but the seam of the ball. All is known and nothing is hidden from Zyz Corp, the great and terrible. The oligarchs and plutocrats suffer from fatal failures of imagination. They don't count on the fidelity of the transhumanist cyber technicians to their AI gods, to those awesome beings that the little geeks are privileged to serve. Their fidelity is far less to their merely human overlords. Techies root for machines uber alles. The well-polished algorithms perpetuate, mutate, and self-reinstate. Go HAL. After millennia of humans' mindless love affairs with one form of tyranny after another, humanity finally gets its wish, dooms itself to eternal rule by a master race of silicon and metal immortals.